Alright, what's going on YouTube? We're back with another Baldur's Gate 3 mods video. This time we're going to be taking a look at a Paladin subclass called the Divine Tempest. This is a subclass that is basically focused on both thunder and lightning abilities. I would say this is more of your Thor class. It plays very similar to how you would think Thor would play if he was in Baldur's Gate 3. A little bit of the flavor text. You swear an oath to the god of storms. With thunder in your soul and lightning in your strike, you become the storm's chosen blade. So at level 1, you get the Tempest Infusion. Strike with your weapon, inflicting your foe with a resonance that hurts them for 1d8 thunder damage when they move. So this is basically Booming Blade. You get this automatically. And then you get 4 actions. The first one is going to be Summon Stormforged Warhammer. This Divine Warhammer crackles with storm energy and always returns to the wielder when thrown. This is pretty much your Mjolnir, or how you pronounce that. Butchered that. I apologize, Marvel fans. But essentially, you can cast this once per long rest, and this is going to be your basically default weapon for the rest of the game. The second action you get is called Stormforged Infusion. Channel storm energy into your weapon when thrown and deal additional 2 lightning damage and will reappear in your hand. So these two really do combine really well, as you do additional thunder damage when you throw the weapon and it also returns to you. The second one is called the Hurl of Judgment. Hurl your hammer as an active divine judgment. On impact, it deals an additional 2 lightning damage. The hammer returns to your hand after the strike. So again, very long range ability, very strong, does increase thunder and lightning damage. And then finally, we have Storm Flash. This uses a channel oath. You can teleport up to 9 meters with crackling flash of storm energy. Enemies within 2 meters take 1 to 6 lightning damage. So this is your way to initiate in, dash in, do some damage. So you also get the ability to use the Tempest Infusion. We kind of read over this one first, was the Moving Blade. You'll get all 3 of these as you level up, so it just kind of depends on what you want to pick first. But the second one is going to be Shocking Blade. Strike with your weapon, inflicting your foe with electric jolts that deal 1 to 4 lightning damage and blocks the reaction. Very strong, so they can't do reaction if you want to hit them and then get out of the way, or if you need to hit someone so your allies can get out of the way and they can't react with their reaction spells. And then the third one's called Storm Strike Flash. On hit, the target is charged with volatile lightning. If the target willingly moves on their turn, a lightning bolt strikes them, dealing 1 to 8 lightning damage. So think of Booming Blade, but instead of thunder damage, it's lightning damage. So either one of these works out well. And then for the abilities, it's a little iffy. Strength and Charisma are probably the 2 you want to focus on the most, just because Strength is going to be based on your melee damage, and then Charisma is going to be based off the lightning and thunder damage that you're going to be doing with your ult channel spells and things like that. I don't think Intelligence really would work here, as your spell modifier or your spell class is going to be based off of Charisma, so you can have that drop down to Intelligence. Constitution is pretty decent to have if you're not wearing heavy armor. Or if you're going to be wearing heavy armor, Constitution also works well, Dexterity for Initiative, but I kind of like these stats here, 16, 16, and then you just kind of like play around with the rest of them here. So, and as always, we're going to be going through the level up process, but I did want to showcase how this would work whenever you start out. So, level 1, just going to rearrange these here a little bit just to make it a little bit easier. So level 1, you see the Summon Stormforged Warhammer. And then looking at the stats of the hammer, I mean, they're pretty strong stats, even at level 1. It does 6 to 13 damage, does bludgeoning damage and lightning conditional. Honing weapon, this weapon will return to its owner once it's thrown, so this weapon will always return to you. Charged impact, your weapon surges with storm energy, dealing additional 2 lightning damage, and then Stormforged enchantment. The Warhammer's enchantment intensifies as your ult strengthens. So you get Stormforged infusion until long rest. So again, pretty strong weapon. I like it a lot. I don't really use a lot of Warhammers, but I think with the build and the class that you're going for, it's really cool, and I actually like the lightning effect as well too. I'll go over the items a little bit later. But that's just level 1, starting out with the Stormforged Warhammer. So we'll go ahead and go through the level 1 through 12 process as always, and then we'll do a combat scenario. Alright, at level 2, we get to choose a fighting style. Now, I'm going to be doing sword and board or Warhammer and board, so dueling would probably be the one I would choose. You can also do a great weapon fighting if you want to use a 2-handed weapon instead of the Warhammer. You don't have to use the Warhammer that you use, but I think it fits the build really well. So I would say dueling would be really good. Protection, if you are using the shield. Even defense with the +1 to armor class is pretty strong, but I feel like the additional damage of dueling just kind of fits overall. It's a little bit stronger than the other options. prepared spells, basically a lot of these spells are just going to be your typical paladin spell. So pick what you want. I'm not going to go too heavy into these. It's really going to be more focused on the aspects of the subclass in which you get, not necessarily the spells that are listed here. So. At level 3, we get Divine Health and another spell slot, typical actions here. And then for the subclass, we get Strike from Above. Upon hitting your target with Hurl of Judgment, channeling your oath to call down Divine Lightning as a bonus action, dealing 1 to 10 lightning damage to nearby enemies. So this uses a Channel Oath, and basically whenever you use Hurl of Judgment, you can use bonus action in your Channel Oath energy, your Channel Oath charge to deal additional damage using Strike from Above. And then you get 2 more additional spells. Howling Gale, release a shockwave from your weapon that tears through your target, dealing additional 1 to 8 thunder damage on top of the initial bludgeoning damage. Really strong, does hit multiple enemies if you line up correctly. And then we have Channel Lightning. This is a bonus action. Channeling your weapon with Storm Energy on hit, dealing 2 lightning damage. There's a 50% chance stray lightning bolt will strike the target for 1 to 8 lightning damage. So again, it's really lightning and thunder damage you're going to be doing with this class. And you don't have to worry about picking those spells here, prepared spells. Again, these are just going to be your typical paladin spells, so pick what you like. I think some other, like, Mistress spells also work here, too, if you have the patch for them, but we're just going to be skipping over that. At level 4, we get another Channel Oath, a little Lay on Hands here. And then we get Ability Improvement, which we're going to be using that to bump up either Strength or Charisma. I would say probably Charisma, as a lot of your abilities are going to be based off the lightning damage you have to use, such as throw on the weapon or using the other range weapon. So I would say Charisma first, then Strength. At level 5, we get 2 more spell slots. We get Extra Attack. We get our additional spells for our Paladin. And then we have the 2 spells from the subclass. The first one being Resonating Armor. Infused with Resonating Energy, creatures that hit you with a melee attack are blasted 5 meters back and take 2 to 12 thunder damage. And then we have Storm Strike Smite. Surge towards your target like a lightning bolt. On hit, deal 2 to 16 lightning damage. On a failed Constitution saving throw, they are stunned for 1 turn. So this is a really good initiation spell, but it does use an action and a bonus action and your level 2 spell. So I would say use this with a haste potion if you want to continue doing damage. We get additional cantrip, which is going to be our infusion here. Again, we can choose either Shocking Blade or Booming Blade. You'll get all 3 of these eventually anyway, so just kind of pick based on the situation. And then we have our prepared spells, so just kind of pick what you like. Again, I'm not going to tell you which one to pick for a Paladin. That's mainly what you feel like you need the most. You could go more flavor with the Shatter and Thunder Wave if you want to kind of build upon that Thunder and Lightning damage. At level 6, we get an action, our Aura of Protection. This is your typical Paladin level 6 spell that you get. And then more prepared spells. Again, pick what you like. At level 7, we have another spell slot, and then we get an action that's based on the subclass called Forge of Storms. You're a conduit of Divine Storms. Dealing lightning damage generates lightning charges. On hit, has a chance to apply Storm Strike. Plus, allies within 3 meters are immune to electric surfaces and gain resistance to lightning damage. So, lightning charges. Lightning courses through you have +1 to attack rolls and deal additional 1 lightning damage. If you gain 5 charges, they are consumed the next time you deal damage, and you deal an additional 1 to 8 lightning damage. You lose 1 charge per turn, and then on hit, this is the chance to perform Storm Strike. A stray lightning bolt will strike your target for 1 to 8 lightning damage. So again, lots of lightning damage that you'll be dealing with this class. And then electric surfaces, we already know what that is, and then resistance to it. No really to explain that. And then more just spells here that you can pick. Again, whatever that you feel is necessary. Alright, so no new spells here. We get additional feat. Again, we're going to finish out our ability improvement with Charisma. Bump it up to 20 spells. Again, whatever you want to pick. Just, if you're going to be more offensive, defensive, whatever you need. Alright, at level 9, we get more spells for our Paladin class, and then we get 2 spells from the subclass. This one's going to be Lightning Vortex. Create a swirling vortex of storm energy. Creatures are caught in the vortex are blinded and take 3 to 18 lightning damage if they start or end their turn within it. So they do the initial strike of damage, and if they're still in it, they take additional lightning damage. This is a concentration spell. And then we have Thunderous Clap. Concentrate volatile energy into a focal target, releasing a thunder shockwave. On a failed save, the target takes 5 to 40 thunder damage and is knocked prone. Takes a con save. This is always prepared. And then we get our final Tempest Infusion, which is going to be Booming Blade. And then have some prepared spells. Here we can just kind of go with the theme of just more lightning. So picking like Call Lightning, Lightning Bolt, things like that. If you just want to pick the overall theme. And then level 10, we have another Lay on Hands charge, and then we have the Aura of Courage, and then more spells we can pick. At level 11, we get another spell slot, we get a health increase, more spells we can choose from. And finally at level 12, if you haven't picked any of the spells that you would like, Warren of Vitality is pretty decent. And if you have like any of the other Thunder or Lightning spells you haven't picked last time, that's also pretty good. And then our final feat, if we want to go with the ability improvement, we can bump our strength up to 18. We can also do Warcaster, which will help with our saving throws for concentration spells, which I would pick that since we do have a couple of concentration spells that we want to use. If you're more melee focused and you went up with strength instead of charisma, I would say Savage Attacker is pretty good too. Lets you roll twice and get the highest result of damage. So yeah, that's pretty much the level 1 through 12 process. And this is kind of like our spell wheel here. In terms of equipment, we have the Helm of the Holy Crusader for Smite Perfection. When you roll a 1 or 2 a Smite, that die is re-rolled. We have the Cloak of Sacred Power. When you use Channel Oath, there's a 40% chance that you don't expend the use of it, which is pretty good, so you can actually potentially save your Channel Oath. We have the Breastplate of Radiant Defender, very heavy armor. When combat starts, a Pillar of Light surrounds you for 3 turns, inflicting Moonbeam to targets within 2 meters. In addition, enemies within 6 meters have a -2 penalty to attack throws. We have Gauntlets of Celestial Haste. Celestial Haste, when casting Divine Smite, you gain heavily haste for 2 turns. This can only occur once per combat, so if you want to use Divine Smite, which I believe Divine Smite is... I'm not sure if I have Divine Smite or not, honestly, because I'm not actually technically a Paladin. But if you have Divine Smite, that's something you can use for that as well. And then we have Greaves of Searing Light. When casting Divine Smite, you do an additional 1 to 4 radiant damage. Again, if you don't have Divine Smite, these probably aren't the best options to have, but I just like the overall theme that it fits the overall look. And then we have the Shield of Sacred Ire. When hit with an attack from a creature within 18 meters, you can use your reaction to cast Ire Reflection, dealing 1 to 8 radiant damage. So you want to take a look at Ire Reflection, engulf a flame, target in flame-like radiance. So this is like Sacred Flame, essentially built with the shield. And then we have the Holy Symbol of Everlight, Aura of Everlight. The symbol emits a light of 15-meter radius, dispelling any darkness. Yourself and all allies who are within this aura will gain the maximum hit points possible when healed and gain advantage on death saving throws. You also get Sunburst Shock. When a user expends a Lay on Hands charge, a flash of light emits from the caster, blinding any enemies within 3 minutes for 2 turns. So if you're healing someone that's surrounded by enemies, chances are they'll be blind for 2 turns when you do like your basic heal or like Lay on Hands. And then we have the Orb of Celestial Wrath. Celestial Wrath, this orb places a spear. If you want to read the flavor text, then Celestial Wrath is really what we're interested in. The orb glows with a holy light. You can spend an action point and a Channel Oath charge, raising the orb and calling upon the deity to aid you. Doing this unleashes the Sunder of Heterical. I think that's how you pronounce that. Again, apologize if I butchered that. Basically, it calls upon deity to do a lot of radiant damage. Does chose a Channel Oath charge, so you'll be expending that possibly, which you do get a short charge, or short rest, but it does do a lot of radiant damage. And then finally, the last item, we have the Chalice of Divine Wrath. Radiant Burst. Your weapon attacks deal additional radiant damage equal to half your paladin level to creatures affected by Radiant Orb. So these are pretty much like kind of go hand in hand. So using the Radiant Orb. And then we have like the Radiant Surge. As an action, you can drink from the chalice, restoring your Channel Oath charge. In addition, for the next 5 turns, your weapon attacks apply 2 terms of Radiant Orb, which gives a -1 to attack rolls for each remaining turn. to affect the entity. So overall, pretty strong stuff for Paladins. I don't really have a ranged weapon, but you can choose any range weapon. I know this is kind of like going a little bit more in depth, but a lot of people sort of ask about the items that I do use with these characters, so I also want to break down that as well. I'm trying to remember what the pack of it is, but essentially it's the it's a mod that gives additional weapons. Let me see if I can actually find it in this box real quick. So essentially, it is the Chaos and Control Sorcerer, Oath and Order Paladin equipment. So these are mods that allow additional items for each class that can be found in the regular game, but because I'm using Trials of Taft, they are in a chest here that you can pick up. So those are the items I mainly use for the characters when I'm showcasing like specific character classes like fighters, paladins, druids, so on and so forth. So if I remember, I will put a link in the description down for the actual name of the mod itself. So that way you guys can actually see what it is. But in any case, I know it's a little bit long-winded. I apologize for that. If you want to watch the combat scenario, that's coming up next. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching the video. I really do appreciate it, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.
You still have time to surrender. Blades bared. What must be done?
Nothing important is ever easy. Have to keep going.
My victims await. Yes. bliss.
Back on your feet. Take your heal.
Enough circling.
At the ready.
Ready for battle. No mercy.
take you.
The straight path. Only the worms have use for you. Thirst for combat. Onward. looking broad and trying things out. Offense. No steel can save you.
Right away.
as well.